Hey, welcome back. Ryan here, and it's been a long time since my last video. I think it's been probably a couple of months, and that's just me guessing. I could even be off on that. But I've been thinking about it a lot, and in fact, this morning I was thinking I should really make a video, and then a little bit later, my husband had said something that was about like social media, something like that. And I even mentioned like, yeah, I really haven't done anything on my YouTube in a while. And then later on, a friend of mine who knew I had made the channel messaged me and she's like, hey, how do I find your stuff? And I'm like, okay, so I keep thinking about this. It keeps popping back up. I really gotta get back in it. You know, today's the day. So I guess thanks, Jessie, for giving me that reminder. I don't know if you're this far into my videos or not. I know there's not too many, but hey, maybe you'll see this one. You get a shout out. So yeah, just as a quick update of where I'm at with things. So I am now about 8 months into my weight loss journey. And things have been really slow lately. Over the last couple of months, I've really only lost like 5 pounds. I'm kind of disappointed about it. My low, I hit 275, which, you know, I'm not really complaining because that's just under, 80 pounds in the last, did I say 8 months? I meant 10 months. It's been about 80 pounds, just under 80 pounds within the last 10 months. And that's freaking awesome, especially coming up to the end of the year here, because right now it is December 27th. And, it just feels like I've been at this all year, even though I didn't really start until February. But yeah, after so many years of, I'm going to do this, I'm really going to, I did it. And not only did I lose the weight, but even during this time when it's been a stall, I've still been, doing these good habits and tracking my calories and maintaining. So even if I'm not losing a lot, I'm also not gaining. And I've tracked my food every single day. I think I'm at something like 314 days or something like that straight on the Lose It app. So that habit is like so awesomely set in stone. And I think that's a huge factor in my success this year, is keeping up with that. And so that's where I am in terms of that. I know that I need to pick things up again and really refocus. So I'm just going to talk for a second. I've kind of hinted in previous videos about some other stuff I want to talk about. And I'm not going to go into all of it today, but I'm just going to kind of go into my mindset a little bit. So I had some really big stuff going on in October or November, and it's thankfully almost over. But just as a little glimpse into that, so quite a while ago, my ex-husband abused our daughter in the worst way that you can possibly imagine. And I'm not going to go into details, and I'm not going to give names and things like that because, for privacy's sake and out of respect for her. And this has been this long ongoing court battle, not really a battle, this long ongoing criminal case with a trial. We first went to trial just a couple years afterwards. He was found guilty by a jury, and he got it thrown out on a technicality a few months later, and we had to start all this over. And then time after time it was going to go to trial, and there would be delays. And then right when we got right up to a trial date again, this is 4 years after, maybe 5, then they appealed to the appellate court. And that took nearly a year to come back. They didn't actually hear the case there, but they, ruled without seeing it. I can't remember the technical term for that or legal term for that, but then it bounced back to, okay, we're going to trial, and this went on for another multiple years. And there was even a point where this year before last, as she's gotten older and more mature and kind of I don't know if I want to say healed from these things, but she actually became more forthcoming, and there ended up being additional charges filed against him. So of course that kind of restarted the whole process, and we had to go through an arraignment and all these things on the new charges. And it finally got, again, to where it was going to go to trial in October, and we went through trial prep and we got all ready, and then it got delayed again for a really stupid reason, and it got rescheduled for November. And finally, after, we're going on, so 7 years, and we finally went back to trial. He waived a jury trial this time around. We got a bench trial, which means just the judge listens and hears the case and makes the judgment that way. And, obviously the act of testifying, especially when it's surrounded with emotional trauma and all of these other different factors, is extremely hard. I mean, it was hard for me to do, but even more so for a child. Although I wasn't thrilled with it, we had to consider, do we want to offer a plea deal? We had offered some other ones in the past, and they weren't even really entertained because they wanted something ridiculous like no jail time, no registration on a sex offenders list. I mean, it was insane. He basically just wanted a slap on the wrist and a little bit of probation. And that obviously was a no-go for me, as well as with the state's attorney. So we did come to, a possible agreement to offer. And I mean, honestly, the amount of time he was going to get was such garbage. I mean, we're talking like 6 months, even with the possibility of him like being able to, go to work and come back at night, or to go home. I can't remember if it was that or vice versa. And that wasn't definitely on the table, but 6 months. And like I said, I wasn't thrilled with it, but if it meant her not having to go through that process of testifying, I was willing to entertain that idea, and he rejected that. So we did not have that option. So we did go to trial in November, and it was very stressful. But at the same time, I'm like, okay, we're doing this. Maybe it's actually going to be over. And after a really intense couple of days, we had closings, and then the next day we came back and the judge gave his verdict, and he was found guilty on all charges, which, like, I can't even explain what a relief that was to hear him say that. And I know there's, I've learned from past experiences that this is never over. There's always going to be appeals and things like that. But this time around, it does seem pretty, solid. And, the technicality from before isn't an issue anymore. So of course they're going to try stuff, but it seems good. And I mean, the biggest part for me was when he was found guilty, the state's attorney made a motion to revoke his bond. He had never spent a night in jail, ever, in all this time. When the warrant was out for his arrest, his lawyer informed him. He walked in, turned himself in, wrote a check or whatever, and left. Never, just got booked and left. Which is really hard for me, knowing that he never had any consequences. And there's a whole lot more to the story and things like that, but that's for another day. But he was found guilty on all charges, and they revoked his bond, and they took him into custody that day, and he's been sitting in the county jail ever since. So he's been in there for about a month and a half or so, and we're leading up to a sentencing hearing in a couple of weeks here in January. So the reason I'm going into all this is, one, like I said, this is a topic that I would like to talk about in more depth because it's, really complicated, and I'd like to, possibly give my perspective and, things that I went through, and hopefully other people, parents or children who have gone through similar situations, might be able to, if not learn something from what we went through, at least relate to it and maybe know they're not alone in going through such an awful situation that you think you're never going to go through. But, you know, so for the 8 months or so of the year before this, I was really focused and in tune on my weight loss and really making progress. It was great. And then when all this came up, it's like I said, I didn't stop, but my focus was definitely diverted, and you know, it was very emotional, stressful. Like I said, there's a lot more to it, and I can't, it's hard for me to just say it and speak, but it just took a lot of brain power, mental power, emotionally draining, just so much to it. And I'm, you know, so I didn't do super well with my weight loss. I'm not beating myself up about it. I do 100% plan on kicking things into high gear again. And, you know, that's actually how I wanted to end this video, was just kind of looking into 2019 and what my plans were to, you know, continue with this and get things moving at a faster pace again, and to take things to the next level and move towards my goal weight. So, just to talk, sentencing is January 8th, and I'm really hoping that that is like, okay, we can put this behind us for the most part. I mean, I know it's never really going to be behind us, but it won't be quite a, like, this is right here, like happening right off the side of your view, like it is now. I mean, it's already a little less, you know, just the fact that he was found guilty is such a weight off my chest. But so I'm hoping, you know, once that sentencing is over, my last step I need to do here is to write my victim impact statement and then go to sentencing, and hopefully I can kind of forget about it for a while. And I'll, since I've brought it up on the channel, I suppose I'll do updates moving forward about that as well, as much as I can while being respectful, because I don't want to, you know, I don't want to breach privacy or anything like that, or do anything that would be uncomfortable so for her. But you know, something that, you know, she and I have talked about many times is this isn't something for her to be ashamed of, or for me to be ashamed of, even though it is a situation that can induce feelings of shame, you know, oh, I should have known, I should have stopped something. But I didn't do this, and there was no way I would know this happened. And when I found out, and she told me quite quickly, I did everything in my power to keep her safe and to do the right thing and to make sure that she got justice for what happened to her. So, sorry, it's a little much. I've talked about this a lot over the years in counseling and things like that, but it's still pretty emotional. And there's lots of different facets, and this is just talking about like a general overview, which isn't that hard for me to talk about. It's obviously a lot worse when we're talking about, you know, specific pieces of it and how it affected us and everything. But again, that's for another day. So looking forward into 2019 is to shake this off, especially after the 8th, which is just, you know, that first week of the year. And my big focus, weight loss journey wise, is going to be to really ramp up the fitness. Food, I want, you know, keep tracking. I want to stick with around 1,500 calories. And, you know, I've gotten kind of like a baseline fitness over this past year, and obviously I'm in way better health. You know, I don't get out of breath like I used to, you know, nearly as quickly, and things like that, just for having shed, you know, 80 pounds, as well as getting moving again. But I haven't been great with my formal fitness and workout plans. And I'm really excited to start implementing more of that, so that compounding with, you know, obviously I weigh less now, so it's a lot harder for me to pull bigger numbers during the week, even though I'm still big enough at 275 to, you know, I should still be able to pull pretty decent numbers. And I know a big key to that is going to be building muscle and increasing my fitness and, you know, working on some of the parts of my body that could really use some attention. It's also doing some different types of body work that aren't necessarily exercise related, but will hopefully help heal my body and minimize loose skin. I know I'm going to have a ton of loose skin, but I can do what I can to try to minimize it. So I'll be working on some of those things and hopefully getting really, you know, more fit than I have been in my adult life, pretty much. Because it's been a while since I've been really regular with exercise, and it's always been kind of intermittent. So I'm excited to see what I can do with consistency and, you know, not beating myself over perfectionism, because that was my key to really sticking with this diet thing. Or like my eating plan wise. So I'm excited, and I'll do another video that talks more about exactly what I'm doing. So yeah, watch out for that in the new year. And yeah, I guess that's about it. So like I said, it's been the first update in a while. Honestly, I intended to just kind of touch on some of this stuff, and it ended up being a bit more long and depressing than I intended. But I think it was something that I really did need to talk about, and it's kind of opening the door for me to talk about it more and to do things with that story that I've wanted to and feel like I probably need to as part of my own healing process. So it feels kind of good to have ripped off that Band-Aid and talked about it, and yeah, I can go forward with that now. So yeah, I hope you had an awesome holiday, and I did. It was pretty good, and looking forward to the new year. And it's always a great time for change and intention, and I'm going to do my best to harness that, and I'm sure you will be too. All right, so thanks for catching up, and I'll be back soon. I promise it'll be way sooner than last time. Bye.